They had Washington players punching each other in the first quarter.
They have guys that make splash plays everywhere. If they don't make splash plays, this team looks really average.
Look at the release.
There's your separation.
Great route.
Stutter and go. Gets by clean.
That is unbelievable.
Maybe the greatest catch I've ever seen.
This is a team that came in with all kinds of expectations, and they were great early, kind of floundered in the middle. But my God, this first half that they put on Washington, woo! Oh my goodness. You talk about a college game. Oh my God, it felt like Alabama versus like Eastern Washington, man.
Yeah, they finished with 56 points. I really wanted them to go for the record, which is like 70 something. I mean, and honestly, I think if they had kept Dak out there, they probably could have. Like, they probably could have challenged for that thing. They were just that white hot. They had Washington players punching each other in the first quarter. You know, it's not even like
how bad it was.
Yeah, it's not even like, oh, this is late in the game. You know, you've gotten your ass whooped or whatever. No, this was like right out the gate, man. Jonathan Allen swinging on Deron Payne after Deron Payne's like poking him in the head. These guys are like brothers, man. This is something pretty crazy here with Dallas. We needed to. This is a statement game as well, I think. Like, just like with the Bengals, this was a statement game that we needed to see out of Dak Prescott. I mean, Dak has had a really rough stretch here of late. You know, we're wondering about the calf injury. You know, you talked about this a couple shows ago. Like, if he was your starting fantasy quarterback over the last like month and a half, he's been hurting you. Not even just you're probably out at this point. But this was the type of game where he was just on fire from the beginning. I mean, and I think too, there was a couple of structural differences that you could see with this particular game too. Like, I think the Dallas Cowboys offense had gotten a little too like short and horizontal over the last like stretch of games or whatever. This week against Washington, they just come out and they're like attacking down the field. And you know, they're hitting seam balls down the middle. They're really attacking vertically. And that was, you know, I think Zeke looked good too. Their defense rocks, you know, like their defense is first in EPA per play allowed. Now the offense might be right up there too. I mean, man, they're going to be a tough team to beat, especially if when they host a playoff game.
I don't know if this makes any sense, but I think they're the most explosive team in the NFL, start to finish, in terms of when you look at offense and defense. And what I mean by that is they have guys that make splash plays everywhere. Right? Like, we know Trayvon Diggs is a splash play guy. You know, when you get Lawrence back, he's obviously coming right out the gates and making splash plays, right? So Dak Prescott, splash play guy. Michael Gallup,
Parsons.
Amari Cooper, Micah Parsons, CeeDee Lamb. These guys are all guys that can make big plays. I don't know if you can point to any other roster in the NFL and say, okay, this team's got 5 or 6 or 7 guys like the Cowboys do. I think we've seen the other side of that variance too, right? Where it's like, if they don't make splash plays, this team looks really average. And I think that is kind of sort of the Jekyll and Hyde nature of the Dallas Cowboys. But neither here nor there, because that's more of a real life football take. From a fantasy perspective, from a stats perspective, it's really hard to kind of sort of determine who is going to pop off. This was a big-time Amari Cooper game. They targeted Michael Gallup a bunch too. CeeDee Lamb was good, not great. But yeah, it's an interesting one, man. And I guess kind of when you're looking at the pass catchers here, how do we look at them not only in this coming up week, but then also in 2022 as well? These
receivers are kind of pretty equal. You mentioned it. This was like the Amari Cooper squeaky wheel gets the grease. He had like kind of come out and said like, I think I can help the offense if I'm more involved. He gets 11 targets, 7 catches, over 80 yards and a touchdown. Dalton Schultz too. My God, like Dalton Schultz is just what an incredible, like best waiver wire pickup. Easy, you know, this year. I think one of them at the tight end position, better than Dawson Knox, obviously. Like, he's been steadier, more consistent, and man, I mean, he's just been great. I think the key for Dallas too is Zeke being healthy to kind of offset, like, all right, when they're not hitting splash plays in the pass game, can they, you know, get the punching rhythm rushing from Zeke? And in that way, like, I think that if we're spinning this forward to 2022, you know, Michael Gallup is a free agent. I don't think there's any way that he and Amari Cooper are both on this team next year. Like Cooper, they can get out of his contract. I don't know if why would they really want to, unless they were going to then re-sign Michael Gallup, right? I think that would be the one thing there, but Gallup, I think, will be a free agent and he'll probably go to another team next year. So then it's like Cooper and Lamb and Dalton Schultz, and maybe they add another body, but I kind of sort of doubt it. Like next year really could be the year where CeeDee Lamb really, really puts up elite level numbers. I mean, he's been great in fantasy this year, but nevertheless, I think next year could be the year he puts up those huge numbers. And then it's just a question of their rushing game next year, man, because Zeke's contract is obviously an albatross. Tony Pollard's been more involved this year, but we'll see. I think that will be a huge question for them next year is how does Zeke finish this year out from a health perspective? How does he play in the playoffs? And then, what happens going forward with that? Because I think ever since he's been banged up, they've been a bit of a different team.